What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Viall Files Going Deeper edition. I am your host, Nick, joined by the household of Allie, sweet boy Justin, Leia, Sierra, and my lovely fiance, Natalie Joy. It's the dream team, the full house. It's a full house.
This is a full house.
Full household.
Fuller house.
I don't want to steal from an iconic television show. Full household.
Oh my god, okay.
It's like Full House.
There's also Fuller House. So we're the
fullest household.
Fullest household. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, got a jam-packed episode. The one and only AD is with us to talk about all things being left at the altar, the reunion. We recorded this episode with AD the day following the reunion. So we were flying a little blind. We had a general understanding of what happened at the reunion, but we really wanted to get her right after the reunion while she was decompressing things that were said. That is the lens in which you want to listen to this episode with AD in terms of how she felt just like about 24 hours, or rather more like 12 hours after the reunion. And now we have since watched the reunion, which we'll be getting into. So just a heads up, we will be talking about the Love is Blind reunion. So if you haven't watched yet, we'll be talking spoilers. It was a pretty fun reunion. Yeah, it was
very chaotic.
Very chaotic.
I feel like Bachelor would never. Like the receipts they pulled out and then reading the text messages. Like no other show would do that.
I think Bachelor's
I love that they lean into the messy.
They're so messy. They'll bring someone out just to humiliate them and be like, okay, you can leave.
And you're done.
And I'm
Yeah.
like,
That was my favorite part.
The Trevor walk-off.
Yeah.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
jaw drop.
That
That
being
was-
said, you can go.
That was really something. Before we get into the Love is Blind reunion, though, we do have to get an update on where the fuck Kate Middleton is, because that is the new.
There is no update. No one knows where she is.
But there's new rumors. There are new rumors. There seems to be a new woman involved. Like, who is this Rose person, Allie? You're saying that it's well known in certain circles that this is William's side piece?
Yeah, so Rose Hanbury has been kind of part of the conversation since 2019. That's when kind of these rumors came out about Will seeing her, although I feel like it was more so like circles that I was in where you're like tracking all this stuff, because I remember my sister a year or two ago having no idea that he cheated on Kate or had some sort of mistress. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, like Rose has been part of this dialogue for a while. Rose herself is married. She does have a title herself. So she's kind of like up there in that royal world. She's a former model. She's a former like staffer, like political staffer. So I don't know.
She's got pedigree.
She knows a lot of high people.
How did the diehards know about this? Like, why has this even been a thing?
I don't know if it like started out in like tabloids or if it was just like through the grapevine that they kind of had something going on. But I've known that he kind of has had a woman on the side allegedly for years. So when this came out and suddenly it's like, oh, this all has to do with Rose. And I'm like, but why now? Because again, she's been part of this conversation for 5 years.
Is there any chance Kate Middleton's dead? Because the internet is going there, and there's some dark theories out there. Like, who's this Pippa person? She had an ex. Her husband's dead.
Pippa's ex passed away a few weeks ago, and then Camilla and Charles released a statement because again, he's in those titled circles as well. So they were like, our hearts go out and condolences. But
and how did he
was
pass?
Linked with Pippa. I believe he might have died by suicide, but let me check that.
Well, I mean, that when it comes to the royal family, I think dying by suicide is kind of sus.
I also read
He did die from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, according to the coroner.
Okay, yeah. Again, I don't know. When it comes to the royal family,
it's giving cover up.
yeah.
I mean, Allie had a point, though, that it might not be death because that would have been an easy out for them. Versus they're playing into this messy narrative of like photoshopping that's not good.
Well, the people who are suggesting she's dead are suggesting that something happened between her and William. I've heard like he's got a temper. I mean, again, I don't want to put out.
She's not dead. She just cut bangs and she's waiting for them to grow out again.
You think that's
Yeah.
it?
Which same girl?
She went to college. She went back to graphic design school and she wanted to show the world her work. What are all these theories?
I mean,
that
it
people
could,
are
yeah, it
coming
could
up
be
with?
something positive, but we're choosing like, it
Yeah,
has to be
everyone's like,
something
she's
negative.
dead. Like, maybe she just like got a BBL and she's just recovering.
Maybe, yeah. Those are also been the rumors. I don't know, but it's getting to the point where it's clearly getting weird.
We'll see.
There's too much Photoshop. I'm like, it's so much better. Like in this day and age, people are going to find the Photoshop. They're going to find an issue with it. And I'm like, if we had just not seen her and if you would have kept going with she's recovering from surgery, but we'll be back at Easter. That was always what they said. Easter is 2 weeks away. You didn't need to go out with a freaking Photoshopped Mother's Day post and start this all anew. You could have just waited 2 more weeks for Easter and been done.
It's the tweeting. It's a lot of weird moves being made where it's just like this could easily be squashed. Obviously, I understand she doesn't owe us anything, but at the same time, I'm like, they're literally circulating that you might be dead.
Owes us everything. We pay for her castle. Well,
Could you
the
imagine?
Brits.
Could you imagine if this was Meghan Markle though? Like,
Oh, I'd be vicious. I do feel like clearly, if it had all Meghan and Harry, had they not just whined about it for so long, they'd be looking so good right now. Because clearly they're right. You know, clearly this family's fucked. And clearly they're better off not being a part of it. I think I just could have done without all the whining. That's all.
you know who else is whining? Mauricio.
Mm.
Yeah. And
And
Paris
Paris
Hilton
Hilton's-
has had enough.
She's had enough.
Paris Hilton said it well. So essentially, we're seeing new scenes released from the new Buying Beverly Hills series, which is Mauricio's real estate show. And they released a scene where he's talking about his issues with the Hilton and Highland brand. He had basically said that he was removed from this company and he wasn't offered shares when he was 19% of the productivity. So then that scene was released. Paris Hilton saw it. She tweeted saying, "My father is a consummate gentleman and has always taken the higher road. He would never speak negatively about his family, especially in the press. Frankly, we are all sick of him using the Hilton name every chance he gets to plug his lame show."
Gagged.
Humbled.
It is enough already.
In my head, I'm like, this is old news.
Just
So he brought it up for the show.
to play
Yeah.
devil's advocate. I know I first saw
Okay,
this.
that's enough.
And done.
When I first saw this, I was like, pop off, Paris. Like, you know, Mauricio looks a bit thirsty. All of a sudden, he's talking about the relationship on his Netflix show. But like, Paris Hilton, like, literally is the reality TV, like, godmother. Her family in itself is like the reality TV royalty. Her mom, obviously, a famous housewife. Conversations about maybe her going back on. So like they talk about their family all the time. Like, and now it's wrong for him, or is it just because they're talking? You know, who draws a line between what is okay to talk about? I mean, shit, fucking Kathy at the reunion is like doing makeup full glam and just talking mad shit about Kyle. So I don't know. Like,
I think it's the timing, though, to be honest, because they have been mentioning this whole circumstance since season 1 of
Beverly
Housewives,
Hills,
because
yeah.
it's Kim and Kyle's rift. It's part of it. So like that's why it's also like, why now? Like, why now are we now going to say like word for word what the issue was when you've kind of kept it aloof this entire time?
He just needs plot for his new show.
Exactly. It's, you know, it's kind of, that's what.
yeah, but that
Yeah.
part's obvious. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a little picky and choosy of like when it is okay to be messy and when is it not. And
I mean, along the lines, it's like you have a separation. Talk about that instead of this age-old issue.
I mean, I also kind of wonder if that's like part of it. Like, is it because now that you guys are separated that like he feels like he can say these things on camera and it's not going to cause a rift in their family
Mm.
anymore?
He's like, not my
'Cause
family
he's
anymore.
not, I'm not a part of it.
See?
Granted, they do live under the same roof, but you know.
Damn. You know who else was under the same roof?
Popping off. Who is it?
Ariana and Tom.
it's nice, babe.
Thanks.
Really good transition.
Transition.
Thank you. I'm doing really well. Ariana was on Watch What Happens Live,
She was.
and she had some responses to Miss Sheena in her issue with Ariana going on Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, what did she say?
She said, I mean, on one hand, I can totally understand being happy for a friend while also feeling like, oh, you did also want this thing for yourself. If one person from our show gets on it, wouldn't that help someone else from our show get on the show? What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
That's a very pragmatic and good point by Ariana. Yeah.
Yes. Very positive.
Yeah. And like not as harsh as say some of the things we've said about Sheena in
Right.
our comments. Yeah.
Yeah. And it wasn't even directed to you. And you were like very mad.
What do you mean?
like Ariana should be the one who's like,
Well,
yeah,
I'm not
that's
mad.
like
I'm just
fucked up.
commentating.
No, for sure.
I'm just
yeah.
giving our 2 cents is like what
Right.
we would say on the show. Like how I would
Right.
feel if I were in Ariana's
Right.
shoes.
But that does make sense. I mean, it's like
That makes perfect
now,
sense.
yeah, next season. But what if Dancing with the Stars is like, I don't know.
Well,
Sheena, like you made it, you
I-
want it too bad.
I don't think Sheena coming across the way she's coming across is helping her case out. Like sounding desperate to be on it is different than wanting to be on it.
I wonder what her feelings would be if it was Tom Sandoval. Like, would you be like, I
Ariana?
can't be like if Sheena, I'm like, I can't be friends with him because he did Dancing with the Stars and he knows how much it means to me? Or is it just the Ariana of it all?
I think Sheena would be devastated if it was anyone but her on Dancing with the Stars. Right? No?
I mean, if she goes on, she better fucking win. You know, like you can't have all this talk and then go home week 2.
She got a dancing coach. She's prepared.
That's what I'm saying. I better see the golden ball. What's it called?
Mirror ball.
The
Mirror
mirror
ball.
ball in your hand at the end of that. With all this yapping you've been doing.
The mid-season Vanderpump trailer is out. Have we all watched it? Let's watch it now.
I hear footsteps. I'm scared.
This hair that Tom has.
Well, turned on.
Oh,
I know we're divorced, but like I was thinking just like maybe one night stand.
Oh.
I would consider keeping the house
Tea.
if I had a roommate. You've been relentlessly talking about me.
The whole world is talking about
Jax?
you. The whole
Yeah, we're getting the Valley promotion.
Yeah, there it is.
You and I are gonna be together forever.
Do you think that's real?
Somebody choking?
According to your rules, Ariana, it's
Don't
my
speak
friend
to me.
found the
Don't
house
speak to
and,
me.
like, you're speaking to me.
Joe, you're a liar. Let him go.
that was funny.
over to make peace.
I don't
Children.
want peace. I now have up thoughts about Brock and Lala, one of my best friends, because I'm like, oh my god, can someone do that to me? You did that.
Whoa.
Wait, what?
So what do I mean to you?
It's about her.
I mean a lot.
Boy, Sheena really just trying to make this whole season about
No,
her.
that's a valid feeling.
What?
Her being scared now, like that her best friend. I mean, if Ariana's best friend, then I can see how she would be like.
To be
"Oh,
fair, I feel like all of America, when it rocked America, we were all looking at our partners like, could you ever?
our best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I know.
I feel like something's gotta like happen between Lala and Brock for that to come up.
Tom can't be responsible for everyone's insecurities when it comes to relationships. Like,
that's fair, but I'm also kind of like, you have to decide, you have to pick a side, Sheena. Do you want him to be your best friend again, or is he the cause of all of your your trust issues? Like, these two things don't make sense to me.
that scene where she goes, I don't think we'll be together forever. Do you think she's talking about Brock? It sure looks like it. It's
It
meant
looks
to-
like
That's
he
what it
was
looks like.
wiping a tear or some Visine or something.
but like that could be her talking about
Well, what's weird
a
too
manager.
is that they cut out the whole Sheena making out with Tom Schwartz in Vegas bit that everybody was looking
Oh.
forward to. And I was like, are we just going to scrap that? Or is that going to be the cause of issues
Yeah.
between Brock and Sheena? And then Sheena's going to make it like Sandoval is like the reason why they have the issues.
Okay, Nancy Drew.
I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just putting little
FBI.
pots
And
together.
also, like, Sheena, I don't think you have to worry about Brock and Lala. I don't think Lala is going to give Brock the opportunity.
I kind of
Well,
agree. That came out of
duh.
nowhere. Yeah.
Duh.
Like, I don't know if you, like, maybe you have to worry about Brock, but maybe not Brock and Lala.
Right. I'm like, I would be more concerned about the girl sleeping in the bed with you two than.
Yeah, I was about to say, wouldn't you be more worried about Rachel? Like what happened in the past? Like
What-
Rachel and him?
what
well,
happened with him?
Well, remember she used to say like she used to sleep in the bed with them.
Like,
This is weird.
wouldn't go to her hotel room and rather stay in the room with them. So,
Ugh.
you know.
Like, if you had a girlfriend, like, sleep in our bed, I'd be like, no, get out. Like, what are you doing?
Or like, there's a couch for a reason.
Well, thank God.
Yeah.
Hop on in.
Get her in here. I'll take middle.
This is fucking weird. And if she did say that about Brock, how could you say that to someone you're married to?
That's what got me a little bit. Like, I do have a little sympathy card for Brock. I just feel like he's kind of, no matter what he says, he's always wrong. Where it's like, I think he was in the right saying, hey, like, I would like to have some time alone with you and like maybe not have your mom so involved in our relationship. Like, I'm like, I don't think he was wrong for that, but it turned into a screaming match at a bathing suit shop.
Is it true that Brock's first child's name was Winter?
Yes, facts.
who he doesn't have a relationship with. And then he
Facts.
had a kid with Sheena, and they named that kid Summer.
It coincidentally was Sheena's baby name, not with Rob.
She always wanted to name her kid Summer, and
That's what she said
Allegedly.
when I think there was a reunion or an interview that she did, but also when she was dating Rob season 7 or something, and it was Madison Montgomery, whatever his last name is.
That was the baby name that she wanted?
So
Oh.
it's
wow.
what happens when your life is filmed.
Yeah.
We don't
The
forget.
receipts.
Because that
Are
does seem like a
always
kind
out
of
there.
what is the relationship between Brock? Is he kind of a part-time deadbeat dad?
They live in 2 different countries, right?
I mean, yeah, I think he's from
His
Australia.
family's in
Yeah,
Yeah,
Australia.
but remember Lala kind of gave him the harsh truth about not being there for his other kids. And then didn't they have a moment in season 10 where he was like, I actually appreciate you now. Like I've reached out. I understand. Like I can't just like abandon that time
Yeah.
of my life and those kids.
He said he was working on child support. And then they did go to Australia recently, and I know that they didn't see his family. So
He
not
went to Australia and didn't see his kids.
I don't think he can. It's up to the mother of
Of
the children. She's remarried, and so I think she likes how their family dynamic is, and maybe bringing the whole Sheena and Vanderpump rules of it all may not be what she
Valid.
desires.
Yeah,
I think that's fair.
that's
Might
fair.
not be what she desires.
You know,
But
trying to be diplomatic. I'm trying to learn.
It might not be what she desires.
yes, I have a hard time understanding it as a new father.
Well, that's why Lala flipped out, being like, "You haven't seen your kids in 4 years." That's I couldn't imagine.
Is kids plural?
He's got 2 kids, I believe, with
Oh,
her.
what?
Yeah,
Come on.
somebody
The
fact
other
checked
one
me.
named Spring.
A daughter named Winter and a son Eli.
And he's just like, doesn't give a fuck.
Mm-mm.
He needed Lala to let him know that he should try to reach out to his kids.
Well, that's why they were all confused with the whole filing for bankruptcy, but buying a new house. And then he had that gym situation, the app at the end of season 10. So I'm like, I don't know.
I think Homeboy is confused himself. I think there's a lot going on that's not.
His gym name, I think, was like Homebody too. So that's why I was like, yep, you got it.
Sheena and Brock are a parallel to Sarah Ann and Jeremy.
Yes.
That's how I see it.
Yeah, they are. That is a
Totally.
good.
A lot of toxicity that doesn't make sense, but they're still together.
But kind of like, does it work? We don't know, but it kind of looks like it does.
Yeah. No one really understands their decision tree, but they seem to be perfectly fit.
Yeah.
That was a wild reunion. It really was.
Am I the only one who?
Yes.
Yeah.
We already know what you're going to say.
I couldn't help but Jeremy and Sarah are. I think the Sheena and Brock comparison is perfect.
Mhm.
I think it's great. I think they clearly are people who probably, not knowing much about them, would be easy to believe that they get on other people's nerves easily. They clearly handled their situation poorly. That's without question. I agree with all that. But at the end of the day, they're together.
Well,
And this experience and this experiment led to those people being in a relationship.
Chelsea said every time she sees him, they're broken up.
Just for argument's sake, if all we know is, it's not like, are they perfect? Are they going to end up together? But a year later, they seem to be still in a relationship. One of the few relationships that came from this experience. And sure, they didn't handle it perfectly. They couldn't have gone about it a better way. That whole argument just it gave very much like everyone ganging up on them because it to me it came across as more, we don't like you two, and therefore we're going to use like the rules of this show to chastise and exclude you and not talk to you and kind of kick you out of the group. It just felt a little bit like that.
Okay, question though, because they pulled receipts from Sarah Ann's TikTok and being like, "It's a show, y'all. We entertained you," like, you know. And then you have Jeremy being quoted saying, "Well, at least I know Jimmy's the villain." So it's also like, did these two people stay together because they came into it with the best intentions and they actually care for each other, or like, we got to stay together for the reunion?
I don't think a single person goes on this show, and I include Bachelor, Love is Blind. Anyone who acts like they just showed up for an experiment and they only showed up because they truly believed in the process and they only showed up for love, they're full of shit. You know, they are all self-aware about the opportunity this show can bring itself. Like Trevor, like what Trevor did was fucked up. You know, he clearly came on this whole thing with he wasn't even available. He made no sense. Like, oh, I wasn't sure if I was in a relationship, I was in a situation, or whatever. It was all bullshit. But what I do believe, and that's not saying much, but I believe that once he showed up to the experiment, that he did like get lost in the bubble that he was in. He forgot about the outside world. I do believe he developed quote unquote genuine feelings, whatever that means to him. I think he's also a very emotionally immature guy that that environment was perfect for a guy like him. He was always going to fall in love in that environment.
But his favorite movie is The Notebook.
Yeah. He had a lot of bullshit.
Most emotionally intelligent person.
He had a lot of bullshit
believe
lines.
it.
I'm just like, it's not that hard for me to believe that someone like him got caught up in an experiment where that environment is meant to kind of warp your brain. And given his lack of emotional intelligence, it's not shocking to me that like in that bubble, he thought he was falling in love. And then when he got out of the bubble, he went back, he still is making poor choices. But I get what I'm saying is it's not mutually exclusive. Like you can show up hoping to get Instagram followers, being self-aware that you're going to be on TV, knowing that, like everyone who goes up to The Bachelor, Love is Blind, they're aware that and most likely there's going to be a villain and everyone hopes it's not going to be them. That is every single person who's ever gone on TV. So like Jeremy pointing that out, that's nothing to me. That could have been any of them. And honestly, that's a tale as old as time on these types of shows where like someone like says the obvious thing that everyone's thinking but too afraid to say it because they don't want it used against them, and then everyone else seizes an opportunity to use it against them just because they don't want to also be the villain. So to me, that's all bullshit.
Well, it was also like the irony of it was that he did end up being the villain.
Yeah.
Jeremy did.
Yeah. And again, I think because they are like, he has a very unlikable side. There's been all these other reports out there and like alleged allegations. So like, which seem kind of easy to believe. But even those aside, I'm just saying like how that all went down on the show. It's just like, you guys just don't like these two, and it was less about how they went about it and more about like, I think they just don't like them.
Well, in Laura's defense, she was like, you've had a year to apologize.
Yeah.
So you're doubling down a year later.
Apologized for what? Let's not forget that Laura's mom essentially tried to tell us that she's an emotional terrorist. She was like, my daughter's kind of mean to people.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's like whether we're taking it, because it's either it's a show or it's their reality in this bubble, that I'm like, at the end of the day, Laura truly believed that she was engaged to this person who made a very disgusting choice, whether it's in or out of an experiment. You went and spent time with somebody that you're interested in and lied about it.
Because keep in mind, when they go in the bubble, they are encouraged to explore multiple relationships. Right? That's part of the experiment. They're in there for 10 days. And when they get to like day 7, 8, and 9, it's like, all right, now you got to choose one of these two. And it's a very imperfect scenario, a scenario they've never been a part of. And then they have to just decide with limited information, part of which has never seen someone before. And then they get out of this bubble, all go back to the same city. And they're supposed to turn off their feelings and things like that. Listen, I know Jess was like, I was literally in the same situation, but she has the benefit of hindsight of knowing that that Jimmy wasn't her physical type, not remotely close, as she said in the show. And so like, she can be like, well, I could have done X, Y, or Z, but I didn't. But like, clearly Sarah and Jeremy, whether we like them together or not, there is something there that has allowed them to still be together. And I just don't think it's the same as, for example, like Tom and Ariana. A situation where like, again, they handled it poorly, but like clearly they are in this fucked up environment. I feel like the lines are a little bit blurred. I don't know. I don't think it's the same as like a real life scenario where it's like Laura and Jeremy were like in this very committed relationship. There was a lot of trust. There was a history. And then he decided to like do what he did with another girl. And I thought it was ironic that Laura was like accusing Sarah of being a pick-me, all while saying out loud, but he picked me. She literally said, he chose me, not you, Sarah, me. And then she's calling Sarah a pick-me.
But Laura is saying that retrospectively versus Sarah Ann was saying that in the moment. So I think that's where it's different.
Yeah.
And also, Sarah Ann puts herself in the mess because she unfollowed all of the women, but still follows all of the men.
Yeah, she's
so it's like they're putting themselves in this mess.
They are messy and very unlikable. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, what if they break up tomorrow? Are you going to take all this back when they're like, okay, the reunion's done. Now our like jig is up. We've just been.
But we got some brand deals.
Yeah.
If I'm just basing on I'm taking them at face value that they actually it's been a year.
They've had to wait for a reunion.
We don't know how long their breaks were.
Do you think they faked a relationship for a year?
I wouldn't run it past.
They had a couple breaks.
Maybe one of their breaks was like 11 months.
Maybe. I don't know. I've seen too many people get ganged up on because they didn't follow the rules of the show. And like this particular scene with Laura, who's kind of a known mean girl.
No mean girl to who?
Her mom called her out.
I don't know. I think she was fucked over, and she has every right to feel the way she does. And I think Sarah, Ann, and Jeremy didn't handle that situation well, and they have continued to not handle that situation well.
What could they have done differently? No, I'm not talking about that night.
Said sorry.
Just even, like genuine sorry. I feel like Sarah Ann came out looking for a fight. Like she was just, it was like literally watching like Maury or something. Like when they walk out and it's just like the whole room gets tense and she's like, yeah, I'm here, And I'm like, when Laura came on, it's like, hey, I understand the situation is complicated. It's confusing, but I had to follow my heart in this, and it was never intention to hurt you. I hope that you're doing okay. But like, there was none of that. It was more defending the actions.
Yeah.
Where it's like, we can't really get behind it. I'm glad that you're happy, and I hope the best for you. But at the same time, you didn't have to go about it that way.
It's like Sandoval. It's just not taking accountability.
I don't think they handled it the right way. I feel like the whole gang up at the reunion, I was just kind of rolling my eyes because it was like, why is this still a thing?
Because
Laura
he never
clearly doesn't want to be with Jeremy. Like, does she really? Like, I don't know. It just
Well, what were your thoughts on
seemed like a
even
performance.
Vanessa and Nick both getting involved? Because Vanessa
Well,
called
they're terrible hosts. So
Terrible.
Yeah.
God.
Well,
Yeah.
well,
Something like
Vanessa
that.
called Sarah Ann out for her video that CRU mentioned, and then Nick, when he was giving his whole speech about people coming on with ulterior motives, mentioned Sarah Ann in that speech, and I was like, wait, I agree. I don't think she had ulterior motives, but he called her out. I don't think she's right in this situation.
I didn't really.
But I don't think
mean,
she
I don't
came
know,
on.
the whole
with-
like lecture from Nick. I don't know. He probably.
It was out of nowhere.
How long is their contract for?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably a year.
I'm hoping that's up.
with Nick and Vanessa.
No, Nick and Vanessa hosting the
Oh,
show.
I don't know. Well, I mean, they filmed so many seasons ahead, so even with their contracts, I think we're stuck with them for at
Was
least
it-
3 more seasons.
Was it last season that Vanessa said something that pissed everyone off?
That was
at
2
the
seasons
reunion?
ago.
Yeah,
Two
about
seasons?
having babies.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
pressing every woman about when they're going to
I hate it when
Yeah.
Nick like pulls the crowd. He's like, anyone hate these people? Anyone?
Yeah, they're all just like,
Just ask direct questions. Be like, hey, AD,
Yeah.
how do you feel about so and so? And then move on to someone else. And then, hey, Jimmy, how do you feel?
Do you think Chelsea should have spread that secret that she promised she would keep in confidence? Do y'all think that she should have said that on national television? And they're all like,
No, ask someone
You're talking to
specifically.
me.
Dave.
Who's first?
Yeah.
I will say Chelsea gets brownie points in my eyes from the reunion, especially like the fact where she's like, I had an intuitive feeling why I shouldn't have chosen you, Trevor, and now I know I was right. And that's the power of a woman's intuition.
But do you think she's just saying that
That's
now
the benefit of
after
height.
the fact?
I don't know. It just, it felt it felt kind of performative by some of the in crowd. I don't know. It just did. That's just me. And we'll get into it with AD, but I felt Clay handled himself well.
Yeah, I see the chemistry that is
Mhm.
obviously still lingering.
And then Johnny,
I was gonna say he knows about condoms now.
Yay.
he I'm sorry, he created more questions than answers for me. He was like, yeah, now I know about contraceptives, but like we had to go to our own corners and do our research. Why are you doing research on your own? Like, why can't you guys do research together?
To be fair, she did say she had to educate him. So I'm sure there was, I like to imagine that there was like a whiteboard and just kind of like a cons,
diagram,
pros,
yeah.
Banana, a banana and a
options.
con
diagram.
He acknowledges privilege too. He's like, I've never had to think about this as a male.
Right.
So I think he handled it well.
We didn't get a religious background though. Sorry, Nick.
You thought it was because of religious reasons?
He seems a bit sheltered.
Which still could
I
be
mean,
part
it's
of it.
like I didn't have sex ed in high school.
Yeah,
I didn't either.
I
No,
did.
I went to a
How old
religious
is
high
Johnny?
school,
He's
but I
28.
didn't have sex.
He's 28. How does he not know about these
28.
things?
Well, now he does, and he's
God.
married.
No, he does.
Yeah,
28 years later.
they're working on it.
I mean, like, who taught you about birth control?
My parents, for one,
Oh, okay, good.
and they didn't even believe in it.
Obviously. I mean, thank God.
But I was aware of like how it all worked, and also just like being a member of society. You kind of learn, you hear about something, you ask some questions, you look into it.
I had 7th grade health
Not
class,
Johnny.
though.
For a guy who like goes into a corner and does research, as you said,
Yeah, that was weird.
Well, I'm glad that they landed on no vasectomy as the final answer. So
Didn't they also land on no birth control?
no
though?
birth control too.
I hope she doesn't fold. She's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do this.
So are they
I've
still
never
not
done
having
it.
sex?
Yeah, my
think
question is, what did they decide
She
on?
said, I don't know. She said something that like alluded to the fact that they have dabbled.
She said we figured it out, but
Yeah.
I don't know what
Figured
that
it out.
means. Like, how are you?
It sounds
what did
like
you
Just
do?
pulling out.
What did they figure out? Was with all this research, they like, it's like here's an alternative to sex.
I don't know.
No, what if they're doing like more like natural family planning? Like what if she's sticking a thermometer up her hoo-ha and they're only having sex like once a month?
She's tracking her ovulation.
They're soaking.
Yeah.
It's anal. They're doing anal.
I mean,
Yeah.
You know, that's what figuring it out meant.
That's the workaround.
I
found it.
did see her wiggling in her chair a lot, kind of
Oh my
uncomfy,
God.
just like,
Oh my God.
Ew.
like a hemorrhoid situation, maybe.
You would
Oh.
know.
Oh my God.
Disgusting.
well,
Anyways.
You did the Preparation H ad. Remember, Allie and Amanda were at the house helping us film it.
Don't speak to me about that day. It
Do you
was a dark time.
Wasn't
in the
he in
household.
wigs? Like,
Yeah.
what was going
That
on
was
that
Allie's
day?
idea. That was Allie's vision. My butt care routine.
I don't think that was mine.
Yeah. Nick had to ask his audience,
think it was
what is
my
your
idea?
butt care routine?
It
Was it like a question box?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
had to poll my audience. Never tell your team you don't care, or tell them to have a brand figure out what
to
they
do for
want.
you.
You will regret it
Oh, goodness, that's funny.
for sure.
Do I need to YouTube this?
Yeah, what is this?
It was,
Where's
was
the
it on your
evidence?
stories or was it like a reel?
It's two
No, it's-
separate things. So the poll that he had to do was directly from the brand. I had nothing to do with that, but there was like a skit that
We
we
did,
filmed
yeah.
at your dining room
You
table
wrote the
that
skit.
went on his Instagram.
You
Did
wrote
I?
it. You write all this. You wrote all the skits.
Did
It was,
I need,
Who,
I need
me?
receipts.
Yeah.
What?
well, I know
is the
Amanda did
skit?
it.
Need to find this backup file, please.
Yeah.
You do. Y'all need to pull this out of the archives.
You definitely.
There was like accents, there was wigs.
There was.
This was during the stage where like we had
Yeah,
put
you were
my
like-
Louboutins
you were-
in the back of an Uber. Yeah.
You were like, I remember you were trying
It
to
was-
coach me on an accent. You were
well,
were
'cause
very
the first
into the
time
script.
wasn't working really well for you.
You were very
if I'm being
you
honest.
were very into the, I don't do accents.
What was the
Yeah.
accent?
Yeah, well,
It's like some French person.
show us.
I don't remember.
Come on.
You've got to find the reel. You've
I
gotta
just
find
remember
the
at one
video.
point Nick was in a wig and he was like, "Boot stuff."
It was a good ad.
They didn't circle back though. They never came back
They
for
didn't
more.
get a renewal.
Yeah,
I think I
it
was.
was
done
a one and done.
I think I was done after they made me ask my audience what my butt care routine was. So
Yeah, that
there's
was awkward.
Anyways,
No
Anyways,
more. butt
AD.
stuff.
it's the time for AD. Other than, I guess, Trevor's walk-off, I mean, we didn't really get into Trevor at all. Trevor, had he just said, listen, obviously I came in with the wrong intentions.
He said he had a whole script planned. He said I had something that I was gonna say, but now, and then he sat silent for like 10 minutes.
That seemed like part of his
It was so
skit.
painful to watch.
I feel like he genuinely like probably
Brain
had
fart?
a script. And then they
people
read
thought he-
read the messages and he was like, fuck, I forgot I said that.
No, he had the face of that meme where it's like,
Yeah.
like just staring into space, jaw dropped,
Literally.
nothing to say.
So
Yeah, but he could just been like, yeah, like, listen, I didn't take this seriously.
Yeah.
I showed up to be famous. I thought it was going to get me a bunch of followers. Like, that's obvious. Like, my intentions were not clear. But when I got here, like, obviously the experiment works. I developed really feelings. I was shocked. I wish I would have handled it much differently, but like, those feelings were genuine. But yeah, I definitely showed up. I was full of shit.
Do you think that would have made it better?
A little bit,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Rather than what he said, which made no fucking sense. I had no
Right.
clue what he was saying.
He didn't say
Didn't
anything.
make any sense.
He was just stumbling over, like he's like, yeah, and it's so hard for me, and it's like, no, you did this.
I
so you
never asked her to be my girlfriend.
but also like the poor girlfriend, like you look so bad. How he's like, yeah, she was okay with me going on the show and like falling in love with someone else and not talking to her again. She was fine.
I didn't
She
formally
care.
ask her to be my girlfriend, so technically I didn't do anything wrong.
But it
And
was
it's
saying,
like,
"I love you, I'm
and I
coming
want to
back."
marry
Yeah.
you.
It's like that made no sense.
No.
Be like, yeah, I had this plan. It was obviously poor.
I can promise you, I have never texted a person that I'm not really dating.
Yeah.
I want to marry you. I can
Yeah.
promise you that.
Yeah.
They were ruthless though. They said, you can leave.
The pumpkin.
With that being said,
the pumpkin is
Trevor?
what got me.
Meredith Marks, you can leave.
Like they forgot he was still there. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry. You're still here? You can go now.
And then he just waddled out.
Yeah.
I love that he was like sitting in a pod the whole time also while they were filming.
Was he?
That's
He was
how the
watching
whole
it from
thing
the pod,
started. Yeah, he was sitting in a pod. I was like, what is happening?
Oh man. What do we the other couples? Any couples we were excited to see or did we care about?
I feel like they kind of left us a bit on a cliffhanger with Chelsea and Jimmy though, because I don't know if y'all noticed, but he kept like touching her leg and like holding her hand.
She was like
and
checking in with him.
Yeah, are you good, babe? Are you all right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. It's kind of giving them maybe something actually really is brewing there.
I don't know.
On
I don't buy
Chelsea.
it. I know. I think it's all for show.
I wonder
They're just
why
leading in.
nobody asked them though at the reunion. Like nobody asked them, so what is the status of your relationship? Are you guys dating anyone? Nobody asked them for an update.
It's because Nick and Vanessa are trashola at hosting.
Trashalina.
What about Kenneth and Brittany still being really close friends?
What about Kenneth and Brittany posting that TikTok? Your secret safe with me while he comes out of a closet?
Oh, I didn't think of
Natalie?
I didn't think into that.
I watched that video 3 times and I was like, what am I missing? Oh, I guess we'll figure
Wait,
it out at
you
the
didn't think
reunion.
anything of it?
No.
I didn't
What?
either until right now.
Well, that makes me love it for them even more. I always felt their relationship was so wholesome. I didn't love the breakup. I know it was awkward, it was weird, but like the amount of respect that they have for each other and their relationship and how they talk about each other after the fact, I'm like,
And to be
I love
clear,
it.
we don't love speculating on people's sexuality if they're not willing to talk about it. But when you do make a video like that and put it out in the open, it definitely causes for speculation.
Teasing a little bit.
And if it were to be the case that like someone came on under false pretenses, like if Kenneth is in fact only attracted to men, and it could be a both thing, but like if he avoided that part of the story, then does he deserve criticism for going on for like as much criticism as Trevor? What's the difference between having a girlfriend and not being attracted to the person you're claiming to be attracted to?
well, my question would be what would be his motive? Because it's not like he was really like pushing
Same.
his school but I'm like, he's happy being a principal. He says it's his whole heart and like what he loves. I'm just saying, like, what do you think he's gonna go do?
I don't know. You don't show up for these shows without a desire for attention in some sort of public life. You just don't. It's like
He was on the Kelly Clarkson show.
sure, yeah. So
He's
clearly,
got- yeah, he's-
clearly he has no problem, getting press or attention.
I'm like, I see Sarah Ann going on and being like, I'm ready to become the next TikTok star, but like, I just don't see what Kenneth would be getting out of it.
Sarah Ann's Raqueling it. That's all I have to say.
like, let's
I
piggyback
agree with you.
off of it.
I don't know.
It is giving
They're
Raquel.
making cryptic TikToks. So, and even Jess, who we love, friend of show, like didn't she say like in the pods, like I'm not even good at social media, or I don't understand social media. She is very good at social media.
Yeah,
I've
she did
seen-
say that.
I've seen like she's great. She is very good at social media. Like
Jack.
Her editing, the way that she like does her story.
it's very entertaining.
It's very good.
It's very good. So like, come on. It's like this is a very popular TV show where people before them have come on and gotten a lot of followers and a lot of attention and a lot of fame. And like to sit there and pretend that none of them were aware or interested in getting that benefit along with anything else that comes from the show is so disingenuous.
I just think it was interesting how that Kelly Clarkson video like kind of like came out of the woodworks because it was years ago, I believe.
Mhm.
And then for them to make that video, it was like you're either leaning in because he's just so not and like, I don't give a fuck. I'm just like comfortable with myself. Or there's something
Else.
written in between the lines that y'all are just like, that's a weird way to platform
They
it.
definitely want people speculating.
That's true.
Yeah. They want people talking about it as we are right now.
And we're talking.
The comments, we're talking. I'm just saying.
Nick and Vanessa weren't.
I will
though.
say-
Nobody brought it up on the show.
No one brought it up. No, they definitely didn't do their job.
Chelsea needs some credit. She doubled down on the Megan Fox comment in a way that I think is respectful, where she said, I'm really stinkingly proud of myself the way I handled it.
I am proud of her too.
She's handled it a good way. Yeah,
Yeah, she's been a great sport.
She's taken some punches online, and she's done a good job of taking it with a grain of salt and laughing along with everyone else.
Mhm.
So props to you, Kelsey.
Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Whatever. Kelsey on The Bachelor, Chelsea on Love Is Blind. All right, well, it's time for AD. Don't forget to send your questions at AskNick@theviallfiles.com for all things texting office hours and Ask Nick. We got a great episode of Ask Nick this week with Dr. Phil. Also, reality recap, getting into all of your other Love is Blind, Vanderpump, Summer House, Bachelor discourse from this past week. All Real Housewives of Beverly Hills as well. It's time for AD. Sundays, Sundays, Sundays. If you care about your dogs, then you got to care about what you are feeding your dogs, because what they put in their bodies will have a huge impact on their health, their behavior, and just quite frankly, how long you get to spend time with your furry creatures, because it just like improves their quality of life and just like their longevity. And Sundays was created by co-founder Tony Waxman, a practicing veterinarian who tests and formulates every version of each recipe. Sundays contains 90% meat, 10% superfoods, and 0 synthetic nutrients or artificial ingredients. Dog parents report noticeably healthier improvements in their pups, including softer fur, fresher breath, better poops, and more energy after switching to Sundays. And it's more affordable and more convenient than some of those other more expensive dog foods. Unlike other fresh dog foods, Sundays does not require refrigeration or preparation because their air drying process, just pour and serve, which makes it super easy to travel with. If you've ever traveled with your lovely canines, trying to travel with other healthy dog foods is damn near impossible, but not with Sundays. Every order ships right to your door. You'll never worry about running out of dog food again.
Ready, Keeks? Tell them. Say, no one believes that I'm actually 11 years old because I have so much energy thanks to Sundays.
She's perfect. Allie, how long have you been feeding Kiki Sundays? I feel like it's been so long.
Probably a year, because I loved it because I could keep it in the office. When we do our live show and we'd have like later nights in the office, you didn't have to keep it in the fridge. It would just be there and ready. And I'd like get out a little cup of it for Kiki. And she, when I tell you, this dog was doing like the full donkey hee-haw. She wanted that food so badly.
Oh my God, she loved it.
Get 40% off your first order at Sundays. Go to sundaysfordogs.com/VIALL or use code VIALL at checkout. Again, that's sundaysfordogs.com/VIALL for 40% off your first order. All right. AD.
What's up?
Welcome to the Viall Files.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good.
Great. How's your heart?
You know, she's healed.
She's healed.
She's healed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Well, not that we want to, make you
Unheal.
relive your trauma.
Like, I am perfectly great now. Thank you so much. You're like, well,
let's break your heart
again.
A, we are very glad to have you.
Yes, happy to be here.
Really enjoyed watching you this season. I think I speak for most people, not only in this room, but just everyone listening, that you were a fan favorite.
That's great
of
news.
this cast.
That is great news.
And while we do, we hope to talk to maybe other Love is Blind people, like, post reunion, I like to bring in one person from the cast, and you're the person I wanted to bring in.
No pressure.
Well, I think you're more than capable of handling it.
Thank you.
What I really enjoyed watching you is this, like, you seem to be one of the more observant people, self-aware people. You were, funny and charming, all those things. And then, like, a lot of people in your shoes who are, intelligent and attractive and intuitive, but also maybe someone who at times had a hard time when it was about your love story.
Yep.
Taking your own advice.
For sure.
Or like, paying attention to red flags that you might see for others, but not for yourself. And just, you would agree with that.
Oh, story of my life.
Okay.
I can give advice for days, and then someone will be like, so what about, like, can you relate to that? I'm like, no.
Okay.
Actually, no. I would never do that.
No. Okay.
Yeah, what? I would never.
Let's start us at the beginning of your Love is Blind journey, if you don't mind. Why did you sign up? Let's go all the way to the beginning. Or how did you sign up? Did you sign up? Did you get referred? I know Jeremy says like he got reached out to by people.
I was scouted as well.
You were scouted.
I was scouted, yes. It was a very pretty funny story. At the time I was working at a nightclub, and my ex actually owned the nightclub.
Okay.
And so whoever was on casting scouted me via my Instagram, and they went to the nightclub's Instagram. And so they called him, like, looking for me, but obviously they did not know that our relationship. Yeah. So they're like, hey, this is such and such, and we're casting for, a dating show. And we had broken up, like we were done. And he goes, yeah, no, she's good. Like, we're good. And I'm like,
Oh.
So then he calls me and he's like, you won't believe what just happened. And I'm like, what?
What the fuck?
I know. He goes, this casting show, like Love Is Something. Like they reach out and they want you on the show. And I was like, okay, what'd you say? He's like, well, I told them that we're together. And I said,
Jail.
give me your number right now. Because we were broken up for a very long time.
Yeah.
But
So you
I
weren't
guess.
like was this like a Jimmy having friends situation?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No. No, we were broken up and
Okay.
he was like my boss at that point. And it was just very funny because he went out of his way to tell the lady that we were together. And I ended up calling the lady and I was like, what just happened? She was like, oh yeah, like I really wanted to talk to you, but he told me you guys were dating. And I'm like, oh, that's so bizarre.
So not true.
It's very untrue.
And what did you say to your ex after he took the liberty of speaking for you?
I said, how dare you?
Okay.
How dare you?
Do you still work for him?
No.
Yeah, fuck him. Yeah.
Well, no, not all
Not
that.
fuck him.
No, not fuck him.
Okay, he's okay.
He's cool.
He's cool.
Yeah.
Just overstepped there.
Got really aggressive. Whoa.
Almost, you could argue, potentially completely change the trajectory of your life. You know, because
Yeah.
who knows if your life will ever be normal. Like
This
ever
is
again.
my new normal.
This is your new normal.
I love it here.
Are you glad that you went on the show?
I'm very glad I went on the
Okay.
show.
Okay.
I am.
Okay. All right. So you ended up on the show. Now
Yeah.
you're in the pods. What was that experience like for you?
Ooh, it's something you can't plan for.
Okay.
It was kind of scary, low key, because you're kind of taken away from everything you know, like your friends, your family, all of your devices gone, and like you're leaning into your own thoughts 24/7. Like it's just you until you get, to the lounge with the girls and you can kind of compare and contrast. But after a certain time, like the girls, we stopped talking too because we're like, I don't know if you're talking about my man, but keep your distance. So it's really you battling your thoughts, like battling like, who am I? What, like, how do I want to be perceived? Because you can't go in there and like flutter your lashes and like show your tits and like be like, oh, he's going to like me. Like you really have to like, how am I going to sell myself? Who am I? And that was tough. Yeah.
Did you feel like you knew who you were before you went there?
I did. Yes. Very solid, very secure.
Did you learn anything new about yourself?
Yes,
after
I'm not that solid, not that secure. No, just kidding.
Yes, so much.
I'm a wreck. Yeah, I did learn a bunch. I learned that I am stronger than I thought, like mentally. I don't really put up with bullshit. I thought I did, but I really don't. Yeah, pretty tough.
So in the pods, you had a relationship with Matthew and Clay.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there anything that we saw in the pods? We know it's like every person on the show says the same thing. There's so much you don't get to see. Context sometimes is left out, yada, yada, yada. Specifically with the early stages of you in the pods and you forming these relationships with both Matthew and Clay and around your relationship with Matthew. Is there any context that you would like to provide our audience as it relates to you going back and forth or just a relationship with Matthew? Or do you feel like we saw a fairly accurate representation of those two relationships unfolding?
Ooh, so good. And, I think Netflix did their thing. They did their big one with that production. I think what they showed is how they wanted to be perceived. And I think it was pretty accurate.
Okay. Matthew has gone out and suggested that maybe he's being misrepresented.
The proof is in the reunion pudding.
Okay.
They air it out. The proof is in the pudding.
Say more.
We have receipts of him actually saying the same exact thing, word for word, verbatim, to me and the other Amber. So he tried to deny it, and
yeah, that was nuts.
It was and it was insane to watch.
Why do you think that was? If you could psychoanalyze Matthew, do you think that, because he doesn't seem like an idiot.
No, not at all.
Right? Everyone knows it's a TV show. Everyone's mic'd up. Yep. No one's like, it's not like, oh my God, we're filming, Yeah. Oh shit. Oh, I was saying the same thing to all these women.
That,
oh my God. So why do you think an intelligent, self-aware man, seemingly, decided that his move would be to verbatim say to multiple women the same thing? Where it could be like, wait, I get maybe you have a line, every guy has a line or two. It's like, oh yeah, he says that shit, but this was more like, fuck?
Right.
Like were you reading a script? Like,
that's, I think if I had to say what I think it was, I think he was probably going on a script. I think he wanted to be so meticulous with his words. And I think that he was like, I know this is going to be my selling point. Like, this is how I'm going to rail in the girls. Like, he didn't want to go off script or like say anything too wild or outlandish that he would regret. I think he thought he was coming from like a very gentleman point of view, and he didn't want to stray from being perceived as a gentleman.
Okay.
I think it was also more than the women. Also, like he talked about America like, over and over and over again.
America loves an underdog.
The camera. Yeah, he talked about
He talked about the lights, the camera. He was very hyper vigilant of everything.
Was that exclusive to Matthew, or were there other people who, and I got to assume that at some point, you guys are in the pods for 10 days. Again, there's a lot you don't see. It's hard to pretend you're not filming a TV show. So was Matthew the exception or more the rule to like how self-aware, how much the cameras were talked about? Again, things can be shown out of context. I mean, just because a guy says, oh my God, I hope I look good, doesn't mean he was there for to be a star. It could have been one moment, or that could have been one moment of several moments where the guy wouldn't shut the fuck up about being on TV.
Yeah.
Which was it more for Matthew? And did anyone else, man or woman, kind of share the same kind of obsession as Matthew?
Matthew had a very deep obsession with the cameras.
Okay.
He was freaked out by it the entire time, and he made it very clear every chance he got. He was like, they're watching us. And I'm like, no shit.
Yeah.
I'm well aware.
No.
And he would say things like, I just want to get you out of here and like talk to you one-on-one. I'm like, but you signed up for a show. What are we doing here? And he wasn't the only one. Like, he was fixated in a bizarre way where other people were kind of like, oh yeah, like the cameras, I'm doing this for the cameras. Like,
please. Yeah. I feel like Matthew definitely said there were several lines of his about America, about people watching him, about being on a TV show, to the point where I was uncomfortable.
Very, very.
And like, I know, I guess it was it Sarah Ann that he talked, that was like the opening. And she talked and he just left. And she's like, thank fucking God. You didn't get that vibe from him?
I think our first date had to be like 15, 20 minutes long.
Okay.
And so the first few minutes, he was probably like my third or fourth date. So I was just like, at this point, I'm exhausted. Like, how when men get to talking, you're like, what are you really saying? Right. Why are you talking? So after like 5 or 6 minutes of us kind of going back and forth with this stalemate of hi, what's up? What's up? He kind of said a joke and I like giggled and he's like, oh, you think I'm funny? And I was like, I mean, kind of. And so then after that, he just kept making jokes and like making me giggle. And I'm like, so funny. So like that was kind of like our like breaking point where he was just like, you get my sense of humor. And I was like, I do.
When did you find out what Matthew looked like?
When I got home from the getaway.
And did you like go online or?
Oh, he found me on Instagram.
He found you.
Yeah.
Did you agree that he looked like Clark Kent, like everyone said?
In person, yes.
In person? Oh,
yeah.
You find him attractive in person?
I did.
You saw him in person?
I saw him in person.
Where?
Post wedding, we went on a few dates.
And?
And
did you look good naked?
I wouldn't know.
Okay.
I would not.
But we do know that you obviously test drive the car before you buy it.
I wasn't interested in buying the car.
We were buying the car.
We were not buying the car.
We're
We
a
were
sex
not buying the
positive
car.
show. We don't.
Oh no, same.
Okay.
But
we weren't buying.
We weren't buying.
Had no interest. No, God no.
So just a couple dates.
Just a few dates.
Okay, and just not interested.
Not interested. Just not my type. Outside of what we had going on, we live 2 completely different lifestyles, and he's very strict and super disciplined. And I just was like, no, this is not gonna work for me.
Who asked who out on the date?
He asked me out. The first date was more of like an apology. Okay. And he just felt like shit. Like he was really down bad, and he wanted to apologize. Okay. And but I wasn't his first date.
Oh.
He went on a little like he's like
Love is Blind recap.
More like I'm going to be the Bachelor from my season of Love is Blind. And
he just went on like a redemption tour. He went to see Amber.
Oh yes,
and he I guess apologized to her as well.
Was it the same conversation that he had with Amber that he had with you? Yeah, okay.
And to guys, obviously we're having some fun at Matthew's expense. But when you say apologize, like, did he really do anything wrong, or
from his point of view, it was more more or less that he broke our hearts on national TV, and he like really
Did he?
feels like he manipulated us.
Did he?
I wouldn't say he didn't. I think he I wouldn't say he broke my heart.
Okay.
I think that's extreme. I think he just
But you
wanted
were
to.
disappointed.
I was very
Was there
disappointed.
like a crack in the heart? It wasn't broken, but like maybe like a
little bruise.
it was bruised.
Okay, so that part is accurate because, well, that's a nice segue.
It's not breaking me. You're not breaking me.
Now, was that your ego or your heart, do you think?
Oh, my heart for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, for
All
sure.
right. Well, it's a nice segue into Clay because on the show, it does come across as you having a pretty solid connection with Matthew.
Yeah.
Even more so than with Clay
For
at the
sure.
time.
Yeah.
And then things went south with Matthew. Clay found out he was competing with Matthew, lost his marbles.
Completely.
His ego really percolated.
Took a hit.
But you seem to, one might say, fall into that trap potentially because Clay, even behind a screen, seemed to present himself as a bit of a fuckboy.
Yeah.
A very charismatic, charming guy. I mean, we got to know more about Clay throughout the season. He's an athlete. He's very successful in his career. He seems like, I mean, he's
my type.
He's got the resume.
Yeah.
He is, as what do they call him nowadays? The high value man.
Oh,
or
high
something.
value man.
High value man.
Ew, I hate that term so bad.
But I feel like Clay sees himself as a high value man.
Yeah.
And he seems, like a.
Yeah.
All that being said, it seemed like he did present some red flags.
For sure.
What flags did you observe of his in the pods looking back? And what ones did you feel like you maybe chose to ignore
Ooh.
in the pods?
Yeah. The whole marriage thing honestly started in the pods. He was very afraid of marriage and long-term commitment, but simultaneously telling me this is what I want so bad. So it's like at one hand, he's like, oh, I'm afraid. And the other hand, he's like, but I want you so bad. I want this. I want to be married. And so I was like, well, show me.
And you heard, because it almost sounds like in a very clever way, Clay said, I have a lot of potential.
Yeah.
I just need someone to fix me.
Oof. Shit.
You know?
And I'm like, hey.
You're like, oh, I'm a fixer.
I got you.
You know? He's like, I'm so close. I want this.
Yeah.
Here are my flaws.
Yeah.
I'm vulnerable.
And I'm like, that's it?
Yeah. Because, and then after the pod, you guys get married, you get engaged.
Engaged.
Yeah, we get engaged.
Listen, you are
Don't get married.
You are a beautiful person.
They don't get married.
What we know. We know. Sorry. I said on this show that Clay's very first impression with you.
Yeah.
I
saw that.
To me, he came across as someone who cared very much about looks.
Yeah.
And his reaction was subdued. And obviously, he seemed to grow to appreciate you and all the things that you bring to the table. But what was when you met Clay face to face?
Yeah.
What was your impression of his impression of meeting you? And how did you feel about the physical connection that you guys had in that first moment?
I thought his reaction to me was very appropriate.
Okay.
Again, there's so much you don't see, which I'm sure you're aware of. But we had a lot of spark in that moment. There was a lot of physical spark in that moment.
Do you feel like maybe they didn't show as much?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I disagreed with Nick with
Just
that
one man's opinion
statement. I felt like he actually was very into you, and especially when you were like, "Hold on, let me just let me just show you what's
He was
up."
also very respectful. He was trying to be very respectful, and I appreciated that. Yeah.
Okay. As you got out of the pods, his big storyline was talking about his reservations on marriage, specifically his relationship with his dad. Living that experience with Clay and then watching it back, what was that like? As a viewer and as a man, we always joke on this show that men are notorious for, instead of ending a relationship and saying, hey, listen, I just don't think this is working and I'm sorry, I don't want to date you, and what all those, the average guy would rather start fucking up, making mistakes, or just saying, hey, I'm afraid of this, and just and trying to present as not a viable option, so that the woman will break up with the man. And watching Clay on this show, all of his in between all of his you're amazing and I want this for myself and I love you and blah 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 blah. It was always sprinkled in with a bunch of like, I'm afraid of marriage. My
Yeah.
dad cheats. My brother cheats. I can't, And I saw it as
Will
like,
Smith cheats.
yeah.
Diddy cheats.
Yeah, it's like, why are we throwing Will Smith on the bus here? Like, what the fuck? But I'm watching it and I'm saying, oh, this guy like knows he's not going to say yes at the end.
Yeah.
The whole time it seemed like this guy is just like, hey, AD, just so you know, like I'm not ready, and that's how I saw it. Did you see it differently watching it back? Or again, what are we missing in terms of context?
Yeah, I would love to put some context to this. Clay and I had so many conversations about not moving forward. And I know it looks like I'm blindly following him off a cliff, and he's telling me I don't want to marry. And I'm like, okay, let's go get married. And he's like, no, I don't want to. And I'm like, yeah. Like there were so many conversations where I was like, I'm good to walk away. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good to walk away. And he'd be like, no, AD, like I really want to try. I really want to do this. I really want to make this work with you. And I'd be like, okay, well, let's try. And then he would actually try and do things differently and show up for me in certain ways. And then he would hit me with a sprinkle, like, I'm just afraid to get married. And I'm like, okay, well, again, we do not have to do this. I'm okay. I would rather not be humiliated in front of all of my family and friends. And he's like, AD, I'm not going to embarrass you. I'm not going to humiliate you. And I said, okay.
Damn.
And then what did he do?
Well,
embarrass me.
Yeah, because I mean, watching it back, this motherfucker, like to the end, I had a pretty good sense of what was going to happen, and I was just like, wait, do they not get married? Because like all the way up into the point where he says, I can't get married, even his vocal pauses were like affirming to you.
Yeah.
In his nervousness of like where he could have just not said anything. He could have just stand there, and looked good in his suit.
Yeah.
He was like, oh man, you look good, baby. He was calling you baby. Yeah. And all this other. And I'm like, you're about to break up with her. What the fuck are you doing? Is that how it went down?
That's exactly how it went down.
Oh my God.
It's exactly how it went down. And I walked up to him so proud. I'm like, oh, you look so good. He's like, you look good. I'm like, oh, we doing this. We're locked in. I'm looking at his mom. I'm looking at my mom. I'm like, oh, we are. And he's like, just kidding.
I loved when you turned around and you were like, well, and your entire
girls.
family, they're like,
yeah, ready to go.
Yeah.
We're ready to go.
We're not going to sit here for this.
No.
We're done.
We're done.
Yeah.
That being said, you were committed to the experiment.
For
I
sure.
respect that.
Thank you.
And you were locked into that. But it is a crazy experiment.
Insane.
And just on like outside of the experiment, it's hard to fault Clay for just being like, hey, listen, like I like you and I feel like a connection here and I want to date you.
Yeah.
He mentioned therapy
100 times.
100 times.
Would never get himself into it.
Do it?
He did.
He did.
He
Okay.
did. Oh,
Yeah.
thank
He's currently in therapy.
He's currently in therapy.
Yes.
But you seem pretty committed to being like, listen, we're either going to get married or fuck off.
Yeah.
Is that what ended up happening with you two? And why was that the case for you?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. We did stay in like communication after a few weeks. It was, we started talking again, but it was very like surface level conversations just to like kind of check in with each other. But it was important for me to stand on that because you had your chance.
Mm-hmm.
How much more time do you need to play in my face?
Yeah.
You had your chance. And he still wants to spin the block.
Well, and you told him straight up, if you say no to me, like I'm not dating you after this.
Yeah. And he told me, he was like, I didn't think you were serious.
Oh.
He said, I thought that we were going to date after that. Yeah. Not
Like,
joking. He thought that like he could still like pull me in.
Yeah.
And I was
and
like,
we got that vibe when he came to see you.
in the room. Yeah.
And he kept trying to
Clay
kiss you.
does strike me as a man who's been able to
Swoon
and maneuver and maybe, he's a salesman.
He knows what to say.
I mean, yeah. So that is not surprising to me to find out that Clay was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. No, that's exactly how he was.
Some girl's like, I don't do anal. And he was just like,
We'll see about that.
We'll see.
Okay, cool.
We'll see. You do today.
So
you do today. Jail.
I know. Immediate prison.
On a scale of 1 to like totally fucking shocked, how where were you when he actually said no? Like, were you
high eights?
High eights.
High eights, yeah. I knew there was a chance, but I didn't think. I thought once our parents were there, family was there, I was like, there's no way he's gonna like do that in front of his mom, in front of my mom. There's no way. So
Okay.
Do you think he was ever going to propose, or do you think something switched in his mind?
like, say yes. Do I think he was ever going to say yes?
Yeah, was there a moment, do you feel like he was like, no, I'm going to do this? Or despite everything he said to you, deep down, he was like, there's just no fucking way. And like you kind of just mentioned to us, him acknowledging, well, I just thought we were going to date.
Yeah.
And him just assuming, all right, she's telling me she won't date me, but like, listen, I'm not fucking getting married.
Yeah.
And I like this woman. She's wonderful. And we're just going to date.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get into therapy. And like, I'm not going to be Will Smith anymore. That was so bizarre. Like, has he apologized to Will Smith?
No,
yet?
no. I had
Kick him in while he's down.
I had hope that he would say yes. I did. I mean,
But you hoped.
I
But not,
hoped.
okay.
But who's ever 100%
Yeah.
sure in this kind of experiment? Like, you're only 100%
Johnny.
sure, you know?
I mean, I
Was he?
asked Nick if he would turn me down at the altar, and he said, I hope not.
I
So,
hope not either.
like,
that would be so
the
bizarre.
fuck? We have a baby
That would be
together.
s-
It's
can I
been
see a
4
ring?
years. Yeah.
Oh, my.
I know.
That's how you feel?
Yeah,
That's
okay.
how he
Do you still have your rig?
I do.
You get to keep it.
I do.
Wow.
Yes.
Mm.
What's it doing? Just
It's chilling in a jewelry
collecting
box.
some dust.
Collecting dust for sure.
You're going to
Yeah.
keep it?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't
it's a
know.
good memento.
How much do you know how much it's worth?
No, I didn't appraise it.
Mm.
No. I
Did
have
you
zero
like
plan
it,
on it.
or were you like, yeah, it could be better?
It was cute. I was
They
like,
have to get a lot
you
of
picked
rings.
last. You
Yeah.
picked last,
Yeah.
didn't you? And he's like, yeah.
Damn.
Like, I need my man to run to the front of the line
Yeah.
and get the best ring.
yeah.
And I could tell, like, he got, it was cute. It was cute.
Were there some moments between you and Clay that you'd want to share with us that we didn't get to see, that either A, you know, despite you guys not working out, you want the people to know, or on the flip side, were there fights or red flags that we didn't get to see that you would want to provide some context to? terms of-
Honestly, I think the show showed exactly
Okay.
what went down. I don't,
Okay.
yeah.
Reunion wise with,
Mhm.
with Clay, was there anything that, what were going into the reunion, what were you hoping to hear from Clay, if anything? And then what did you hear, and were you satisfied or disappointed with how that all went down at the reunion between you and Clay?
Yeah, I wanted Clay to take accountability for everything, for all of his actions, for leading me on, for playing in my face, and just for being like weird when you didn't have to be. And Clay took accountability for everything, for being weird, for leading me on, for embarrassing me. He manned up and said sorry in front of everybody.
So you were satisfied.
Very satisfied,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Did it turn you on a little?
I mean,
Were you like, wait a second?
I wasn't mad
Let's
about
talk about
it. No, because then he goes, oh, and I feel like I made a mistake
Well, duh.
and I want you back.
Duh.
And everybody's like, so how do you feel about that? I'm like, yeah.
So he's still fighting for you?
That's his plan, to fight for me.
It's his
Yeah.
plan to fight for you.
Yeah.
That's his plan.
A lot of people break up, and despite saying we'll never get back together, have a couple moments of weaknesses and hook up sometimes.
Mhm.
Did anything happen between you and Clay after he left you at the altar, or did you guys have any late night rendezvous, hang out in the same cities? Moments of passion. Sometimes the relationship is toxic, but the sex is good, and it's hard to say goodbye to the sex, even though you can say bye to the relationship.
You're funny.
where did that-
He's funny.
Where did
He's
that-
really setting this one up.
Where did that land with you and Clay?
Clay and we're flirty friends.
Flirty friends.
We are flirty friends. So if we see each other outside, we're like in each other's faces. Like we
Yeah.
like hug and cuddle and like we're all over each other. But again, we're friends.
Okay.
hmm
Do you like to remind him of what he lost from time
Every
to time?
chance I get.
Okay, yeah.
Absolutely.
Every chance I get.
As you should.
Wait till you see my reunion dress. Every chance I got to show him, like, yeah,
And do you feel like
Yeah.
you've been successful in that?
100%.
Well, good for you.
It's giving
Yeah.
Ariana Maddox at the Scandal reunion
Yeah.
in the red dress.
Some of your peers have been pretty messy. I think Jeremy, Trevor,
Mm-mm.
Sarah, Jimmy a little bit.
Well, Trevor and Jeremy have those allegations coming at them.
Yeah.
Oof.
Does anything happen with that at the reunion?
They both address it. Trevor tries to find the words And he just can't.
Ooh,
So, from
guilty.
your point of view, how do you interpret the allegation towards Trevor?
I think it's unfortunate, but I don't think it's a lie.
You don't. Okay, you believe
I
the
believe
allega-
that. I believe
allegations,
them. Yeah.
Yeah, they seem to be. We live in a time AI, and it's not that hard to
Yeah.
Photoshop things like that. But reading the text messages, it
Yeah.
reads true
For
as someone
sure.
who
Yeah.
like what he was saying.
Mhm.
That it's too on the nose of,
Yes.
of
You would
what's
have to be there to know to say those type of
correct.
things. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
So he was, I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, he was engaged when he
No,
went?
he seemed to
No,
have a girlfriend,
a girlfriend.
like a Russian bodybuilder.
Okay.
It seemed like I don't know. For context, I don't know, right?
Okay.
She's like,
Sure.
I looked at her
Sure.
Instagram. I'm like, all right.
I didn't look at the girl.
She
I
pumps iron.
didn't look at her. I didn't look.
But yeah,
Yeah.
like they met at the gym. It
Yeah,
seems like.
The allegations are that she came out with all these text messages that he was sending her throughout before and after filming.
Oh.
Before and after, like before, like before the pods. So we have to hand our phones and devices, and so
Right.
they had a deep conversation about how he loves her,
Oh.
can't wait to come home to her
Oh.
and marry her.
Oh.
And then after, it kind of proceeded the same way.
Hmm.
Very
What was your
strange.
read on? Well, let's just maybe go through the whole cast. Who are you closest with?
I'm actually closest with girls that weren't featured.
Okay,
Yeah.
like who?
Alejandra, Danette, Danielle, Ashley. Those
Okay.
girls that were not featured.
How
Okay.
do they feel
About what?
that they weren't featured?
I don't know. Let's get them on here and ask.
Well, I mean, some of them they just like didn't find love, right?
Yeah,
It's
some
A lot of it
didn't.
is
Some
just
didn't.
They just didn't get engaged and
Mhm.
just getting good.
Some
follow
didn't.
storyline,
Yeah.
What's your read on Kelsey? From where we stand, a bit whiny.
Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Sorry, Chelsea. Jimmy referred to her as what was it?
Clingy.
Clingy. Yeah. What was your read on her?
It's a very interesting point of view because I know Chelsea from a woman's point of view. I know her as a
Yeah.
girl's, like a girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
So to see her like that, meek towards a man when I know her as a confident, strong woman, I was like, there's no way she's letting this little man break her down like that. Like I was shocked. I didn't think he could do that to her.
I mean, your conversation with Sarah Ann
Oof.
at the lake
Ate her up.
was Oscar winning.
Yeah.
Ate her to pieces.
Ate her up.
You did a great
You
job
did.
of
Thank
confronting her while simultaneously both probably confusing her and the audience of like being her friend.
Yeah, I was like, wait.
Like she's so incredibly
Whose
nice.
side is
but,
she
like,
on?
I don't.
What's happening
What do you
here?
do? It's like me interviewing people. I'm just like,
I'm not your friend.
I'm just kidding. We're friends. We're best friends.
Besties.
But yes, to Natalie's point, loved how you did that.
Thank you.
What was your, like anything again we didn't get to see there? And do you want to add any other context to that conversation? I have suggested in past episodes that I from right or wrong, black or white, I have a very rigid, opinion on fidelity and things like
Yeah.
that. But this show is fascinating because it is an experiment.
Right.
And as I've mentioned before, there are relationships from Love is Blind that now exist that didn't start in the pods.
Right.
And I guess to your conversation with Sarah, was it more about her approach than anything?
100%.
Okay.
And I never wanted to invalidate her feelings. Like if you love that man, love him. But there's only a few short weeks. You could have waited till after the altar to see where it was going. But for you to infiltrate while they're already in turmoil and then to add, fuel to it was just, I thought the timing was off. I thought it lacked class. I thought it was you could have just waited a few more weeks to see what the decision was.
Yeah. Did they really just go jet skiing?
100%. Right in
Like
front of
that?
all of us
Like-
into the sunset.
Wearing his shirt.
Yeah.
What are you
His
hiding,
Hawaiian
Jeremy?
shirt.
He's hiding so much that he wears his Hawaiian shirt on the water.
Ugh.
That man has secrets. Now, I don't know if Jeremy is a serial killer. That's an aggressive
Hmm.
accusation. But he does not want you to see his Google search, for sure. That man has some weird hobbies.
Well, I think, conversation with Laura where he's like, I'm not talking about that right now. It was like, oh, you don't want to say something in front of the cameras, you sneaky
Yeah.
motherfucker.
What you got going on?
What you got going on? What did you think of the whole him meeting up
Ooh.
with Sarah till 5 a.m. at her house and him being like, well, I shared my location.
I think
was doing-"
Lara is a strong woman because I would have got in my
Is.
car And I would have pulled
and followed
up.
that location.
Where are we going?
Yeah.
Where are we
100%.
going? This feels like a field trip.
100%. Yes.
She's strong. I would have got in my car.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. I thought it was just brave of her to sit and wait for him to come home.
And he has come out since saying that, like, he claims that in the pods, he was very open about this relationship, this engagement, that the woman he was allegedly engaged with claims there was some overlap and things like that. He says that's not the case. And he also claims that in the pods, he was very transparent about this relationship. It just wasn't shown. Can you confirm that either with your own experience?
I can't confirm, but Laura confirmed at the reunion that the times matched up.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And what is just your read on Jeremy as a human being?
I have no read on that man. I don't know anything about him. I don't know why he's in such such a hot commodity with the ladies. I don't know.
Is he?
I mean, the fiance,
Yeah.
then Sarah, then Laura. It's just, I don't get it. I don't see it, but.
Well, Laura just met him in the pod, so that there's that. And then
To me, he seems very robotic. He's very, with his like responses, he's just like, yes, I did. Okay, that is
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know
that you
much
do that.
about him. Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
not your type.
brick wall.
No.
Yeah.
Was Sarah at the reunion?
She was at the
update?
reunion. She
Because
was.
Sarah, we can now confirm, right, that they are together. Are they Sarah and Jeremy together?
They
Or
are.
They're
They are
Sarah and Jeremy
together.
together.
Yeah.
Okay.
They live together.
They live together.
Oh,
Mhm.
Are they engaged? Are they married?
I think they just live
They
together.
just live
Yeah.
together.
well.
Well,
Mm.
there's that.
Good for them.
I guess good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
No one
Yeah.
seems to be excited about them.
Good for them.
I mean, I don't know.
It just was everyone's approach at the whole thing, the way that everyone handled that situation, everyone being Sarah and Jeremy,
Was weird.
was weird.
They did, y'all. They did take accountability.
Okay.
They did apologize to Laura.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like heated at first, but they did apologize and they were like, that was weird. We could have waited. We could have done things differently for sure.
I wonder what they would have done differently.
Not got caught.
Not get caught.
Turn off
yeah.
your location.
What did you think of Jess? When you see me, you were going to choke.
The EpiPen.
I felt that in my soul.
Yeah.
I felt that in my soul. Because I had the same feeling.
Yeah.
I just didn't say that, you know?
Right.
But I felt that, like, yeah,
100%.
good luck.
Well, and I'm curious because, the show's Love is Blind. The women are hanging out with the women. The men are hanging out with the men. Clay
Mhm.
was very transparent of how he felt about Matthew
Mhm.
and whether he felt like he was his equal. And I got to assume that that's not the only conversation like that has happened.
Yeah.
You women get to observe each other, your personalities, your tics, your icks, whatever. You get to see how each other look.
Mhm.
What was that like? And did you see, either with yourself or with the women, did you see any competition in the common rooms? And how did that interact with, how did that affect people's reactions? Did you see people compare themselves? And what role did looks, even though it's not part of the conversation, play with how people handle themselves in the pods?
Competition was low. I don't think we spent our days competing. I think we were just so focused on our dates and stuff. And also, I didn't know that they were dating the same man. I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know that, who she was talking about. We kind of kept our cards pretty close to our chest. And so when she's crying about, I love that man, y'all, when I walked around, I was like, I don't even know who she's crying about.
Really?
I had no idea what was going on. I was just like, my girl is down bad.
I need to comfort,
I need to comfort her. I didn't know what was going on.
But you only knew about Amber because she was
talking about it.
She came to you.
Mm-hmm.
And that was crazy.
Yeah.
For her to not even say his name and
Yeah.
be like, this man was just saying, and you're like,
Sounds familiar.
interesting.
Lucky
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of competition and Chelsea, at the beach,
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy made a comment about how you're stacked.
Yeah.
And then
Oh.
she said it out loud. How
Yeah.
did that make you feel, that whole situation?
I mean, I am stacked.
Period.
Period.
Is.
I am.
Obviously.
So, I mean, the broadcast of it was crazy. That, I feel like that could have gone a few ways. For me, if my man was like, oh, she's stacked, I would have looked and been like, yeah, she is. She looks fucking good. Or I'd have been like, not too much.
Right.
We could talk about it when we get home.
Right.
But I'm not going to now point to this poor girl and be like, by the way,
My man.
my man said you're
Yeah.
fucking stacked like that. And I'm just like, squats and Jesus, girl.
Yeah.
Just in an awkward, what am I to do? I mean, it's true.
I
And
feel like that
thank
happens
you. It's
a couple,
true.
even with the bean dip
Everything.
conversation.
Yeah.
Do you think that was just Jimmy being uncomfortable and awkward?
Very uncomfortable and awkward.
Okay.
Yeah, he had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
So I don't know how she explained the joke to him, but he was like, Laura told me to smack your girl's tit. And Clay's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
He didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, because it seemed like the impression we got watching it is that Jimmy in the pods was seen as some sort of alpha.
Are you talking about
Are you
Jeremy?
talking
or
about
Jimmy?
Jeremy.
Jimmy, like a lot of the women seem to really like Jimmy in
Oh,
the
okay.
pods.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. That's the impression I got watching it. Like a lot of there was a scene where it seemed like a lot of the women were
Wanting him.
Like he was the hot commodity in the pods. And it seemed like out of the pods, and the impression I'm getting from talking to people or watching it or hearing from you is that Jimmy outside of the pods,
Are we talking about Jimmy or Jeremy?
Jimmy.
Jimmy was a Chelsea.
Jimmy's
and
the
Jess.
one who commented on her butt.
We were talking
Jeremy
about
is the one who said like
The
the bean
bean
dip
dip.
No, I know that.
conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess, I'm sorry. I'm
Okay.
segueing into
Yeah.
to Jimmy.
Oh,
I
okay.
apologize.
Okay.
We're going
okay.
back.
Okay.
There's a lot of it. That's my bad. But Jimmy, like, what was your read on Jimmy, both in the pods
So funny.
and out of the pods?
I had one date with Jimmy and I never talked to him again.
Mm.
And then I saw him for the first time at the beach day. And I was like, oh, like that's not what I thought he would look like. I don't know what I thought, but that wasn't it. And then when he came over after the whole she stacked thing and started talking to me, I was like, oh, he kind of like smooth a little bit, like a little swaggy,
Yeah,
like a little
yeah.
chill. So we started conversing and then that blew up into this whole,
Mhm.
you left me to talk to AD.
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
like, well, we were just chatting. Like we have a lot in common. Like we know a lot of the same people. Like we just vibed on a lot of things. And it was funny that it blew up that way.
That was their first fight.
Yeah.
What did she say at the in Mexico where she's like sobbing, crying, and he's like,
I'm feeling uncomfy.
"I'm feeling uncomfy,
Oh, my girl was down.
uncomfy,
Oh,
not uncomfy."
uncomfy. She was down bad, y'all.
She was. I
Pray
want to
for
give her a
her.
hug.
I know.
Do you
wanna give
think,
her a
well,
hug.
you've been, so far, a lot of what you're saying is, for the most part, things were fairly accurate.
Yeah.
And do you think she was accurately represented?
I mean, yeah. If you cry, they're gonna show it.
Mhm.
They can't AI a cry on.
I just
her.
more like her displaying her
Yeah, I think that's
insecurities and
exactly
things like that. Okay, who she is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was magnified for sure.
yeah.
But
So everything about what you guys were involved in is magnified.
Yeah.
What did you learn about, I mean, I know you teased it in the beginning of this conversation, but in all seriousness, what did you really learn and how long ago did this all, was this filmed?
last March.
Last March.
Yeah.
Wow.
So about a year.
Yep. Just about.
So you've had some time to reflect.
Mhm.
Like, how are you a different person at all from this experience?
I'm not a red flag chaser anymore.
Okay.
I've learned to kind of like take people at face value and what I see is what I get and not try to paint a different picture. And that's with all relationships, not just men, like women and family. I'm just like, okay, this is what they're presenting me. This is how they want to show up for me. So this is what I have to accept instead of trying to dig and find the good and the potential. Like I'm over that phase of my life.
I feel like your mom
Yeah.
shined so bright.
So bright.
She's such a star.
I know.
Is that where you get your bravery and your strength and your resilience? Like, is that
100%. Yeah, she is, like most moms, the strongest woman I know.
Yeah.
You know the vibe.
Yeah, I know the vibe.
Oh,
I need you holding my baby.
I know.
Oh my god.
But she's so powerful.
Yeah.
And she's, always like just made sure that I was the most confident girl in whatever room I stepped in. Like she just made sure that I knew I was beautiful and I knew I was talented and I knew that like I was that girl from a very young age. She made sure I knew.
Damn.
Yeah.
You can see that.
Yeah.
I loved y'all's.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was,
Thank
it was
you.
a fun dynamic.
What are her thoughts about like the whole situation now that it's like in the past?
She's happy that I went through it. And she's very much like, life is life.
Mhm.
If he wasn't ready, he wasn't ready. He's not the one. He's not the one. And you did it. And next.
Next. Yeah,
Next.
And what is your relationship status these days?
Ooh, I'm so single. What camera do I look at?
That
This
one.
This one right here.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'm so single.
Okay.
Wait, that was hot.
Describe your perfect match. No, yeah. Who's your perfect match? Who's your
Ooh.
type? What's your type?
My type gets me in trouble.
Yeah.
But everyone
But-
has one.
For the record.
Yeah.
Tall, dark skin,
Tall, dark, and
athletic
handsome.
built.
Okay.
Rich would be nice.
Okay. Yes, of course.
Gentle, kind,
Mhm.
patient. Respectful, family man.
What's maybe a quality that you've learned through this experience about how you would like to be treated in a relationship that maybe you didn't value before you went into the pods?
I would probably say I would like to be met with more gentleness. I think Clay was very and like aggressive. And like some of me kind of gravitated toward it because I like an alpha male and I'm just like, oh, but I think I need to be more coddled and loved on and like a little bit more affectionate and just treated like a princess and not like like a football player teammate. Like I'm a lady.
Yeah.
Put some respect
She's
on my
a
name.
ladybug.
I'm a lady. Just a baby.
Just a baby. I loved how anytime Clay would like pipe up a little bit, you'd be like, whoa.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Whoa.
Not too much. Not too
Take
much.
that down.
Take it down.
And he would.
And he would.
Yeah, you're watching you listen to Clay, like really just anyone. Like you could always tell you were very astute to some of the weird things people said. You know, people do that a lot in public. People will say things that for most people they don't either not paying attention.
Yeah, I catch on all the time.
Yeah, you'll catch on.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I really enjoyed
Thank you.
watching you
Thank you.
do that, especially with Clay. But yeah, it was fun to watch. Do you think you're better now at observing that for your own sake?
Oh, 100%. Like now it's just like, like an antenna automatically. I'm like, oh, that was weird. Oh, why you say that? And I speak on it now. I don't just like let it boil up in me. I'm like, oh no, that was weird. Let's chat.
And before you were on Love is Blind, you were a bit of a celebrity yourself. You were a cheerleader for New England Patriots.
New England Patriots, Charlotte Hornets.
Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah.
How did you get to do Charlotte Hornets and New England Patriots?
Yeah. So I'm born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts. Okay. Well, Boston, and then I moved to like a town. Everybody from my town is really mad that I stopped saying the town, but Norwood, y'all, Norwood. And it's right next to like Foxborough, Gillette Stadium, and I grew up cheerleading and dancing, and I auditioned for the team. I ended up making the team. I cheered 4 years. On my 4th year, I was captain, Pro Bowl cheerleader, and I went to a Super Bowl.
Oh,
damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any fun like anecdotal stories? Did you meet any players? Date any players? Is that off limits?
I didn't date any players.
Okay.
We weren't allowed to date them, but I had friends for sure.
Like who were your friends? Are you allowed to say?
No.
Wow.
Yeah. NDA.
Yeah.
Duh.
Do you have to sign an NDA?
No.
I don't know.
I think they're all married now, so
Yeah.
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah.
We don't want her up. We don't.
We don't want
We don't
to
want to
that.
Sarah Ann that.
No, ill. I love that. It's a new term.
Don't Sarah Ann.
Don't be a Sarah Ann.
Oh man, what an experience.
So wait, you did
New England for
Patriots?
4 years. We're only allowed to do 4 years in New England. So after I retired, I was like, I'm done dancing. And my family is from Charlotte. Well, my mom is from North Carolina.
Okay.
So I was going down there and visiting friends and stuff. And I was like, okay, time to move. And so I ended up moving. I had no intentions on dancing. And then I got approached by a girl. And she was like, hey, you should really come to like a dance class, whatever. And I went. And so happened the coach was the coach of the Charlotte Hornet Honeybees. And so I was like, oh, like I heard you guys are having auditions. She's like, yeah, like you should come. I auditioned, made the team.
Damn.
Yeah.
Where do you see your career life going from here? Are you going to move to LA?
If something brings me out here, I would love to. I love it
Please.
here. But right now I'm just riding this wave,
Yeah.
taking it day by day.
You still in real estate?
I am.
Okay, how's that going?
It's going.
Okay.
It's going. Yeah.
Anything we can do to help? Any houses on the market we can tell people to go look at?
No, it's
Okay.
doing its thing. Yeah.
Okay. All right. How would you, now that you've done the experiment, a lot of people, especially this season, I have my own views. And I think, audience members are a little, it's like, especially when this is like, oh, they need like the who's ever doing the casting of this show, I mean, like people act like it's supposed to be some sort of like top secret, like clearance. I mean, it's someone who's done reality TV.
Yeah.
So I say this with no judgment. It takes a certain type of person
For sure.
who's willing to do
Absolutely.
this crazy ass
Absolutely.
fucking experiment.
It's not for everyone.
Love is Blind or The Bachelor might be lucky enough to cast someone of your quality. They also might end up with a Jeremy.
Yep.
Or a Trevor.
Yeah.
That's kind of my read on it. How do you feel about, is there anything, if Love is Blind, if the good people at Kinetic who produced this show said, AD, we think you're smart.
Yeah.
We like your take on things. You've done this show. What should we do to improve this show? either from from either production to the post, the editing, anything from cradle to grave, what would AD say? How could the show be improved to make the viewing experience or the cast experience more authentic?
What a question. I'm going to be completely honest, and I'm going to be so honest. I had such an amazing experience, and I don't think I'm the one to answer that question because my experience was so amazing. Now, if I had to nitpick and say what, I would say the vetting process on the men and like what it actually means, like, are you in a situationship? Are you in a relationship? Are you engaged? Like, really break that down. And like, this is what it means. Are you in a relationship? Yes. No. Are you in a situationship? Yes. Because they don't know. When, like, really, like, let's vet that a little bit deeper because they're like, oh, well, we weren't together. Okay, but you were fucking her for the last 6 months.
So does she think y'all were together?
Does she think?
Does anyone think you're in a relationship with you?
That part. That needs to be on there. And if so, how do we rectify that? But I mean, I had an amazing experience, so I probably am not the one with the...
Well, maybe, I mean, or, you could have amazing experience and still improve it.
Yeah, for sure.
I would like to see, when people painted the pictures, and maybe this happens, I don't know. I would like to see you guys give each other the pictures you guys are drawing and share it with each other without meeting each other.
That's
to
funny.
see. Yeah. Like
Everyone didn't have a painting date.
Okay, they didn't.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, it'd be kind of funny to meet each other's parents before you meet each other face to face. See what each other's parents look like.
I would marry Clay off his mother's strength alone.
Yeah.
That conversation with Clay's mom and Clay's dad at your wedding.
She set him on fire.
So she must have because obviously he really put his father
on blast
this entire show. So he must have came to his mom and was like, listen, I talked about this. It's going to air on national television.
Yeah.
You need to know that he took me with him to cheat on you.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I guess, what she was referring to. And she was like, I found out things through this experiment that you need to apologize to him for.
Mm-hmm.
That conversation, I feel like this show, if nothing else, like it didn't work out for y'all, but like, thank God they had that conversation.
Yeah, that brought everything full circle. It made everything make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That his dad wasn't even like, he's like, I think it's good. And she's like, no, you need, that's why the circle and everything is connected.
It all made sense, right?
It really did.
Yeah.
Are you aware of, were there any further conversations and further healing from that? Or do you know anything about that?
I don't know anything about it. I'm sure they're working through it.
Were you surprised by Clay putting his dad on blast in the way that he did?
I didn't know he was putting him on blast. I thought this was like a whole everyone knew kind of thing. I didn't know that no one knew.
They made some beautiful children. Yeah. When they showed his brothers, I was like, oh my God. It's like one after the other.
Know. They all look so there.
Although I did kind of know that Clay wasn't going to say yes when his brother showed up in a tank top.
Langston.
Y'all are funny. Like, y'all are funny.
He's not saying yes. Like, sorry.
Y'all are wrong for that. He's so sweet. Y'all are.
What's the other brother's name?
Nate.
Nate. Yes, Nate. And then Nate's in his like collared shirt. And he's like, just loving every bit of this. Oh, that was cute.
Yeah, it's a cute family.
You're funny.
Yeah. Sorry. But you had a great experience.
I did.
Okay.
Would you do it again?
I would.
Love.
With a different batch.
Absolutely.
Yeah, then I would, yeah.
Why? I mean, maybe should Love is Blind do that? Maybe
Bring
back some people who... Bachelor's done it, hell, people have had a second or third run.
Yeah.
Love is Blind in Paradise.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Oh, that's
crazy. Love is Blind comes to you and says, hey, we got a new batch. I'm not going to tell you who or what, but do you want to do this shit again? You would say yes?
Yeah, I would.
And they'd be like, we know now. Like, your type, what you need.
Oh,
no, no, she doesn't get that. She doesn't get that.
She's a veteran.
Yeah,
she does get
I need some kind of perk.
Yeah.
You would,
She would definitely need a little
incentive.
Yes.
Like, let me know there's some lookers in there.
But not who.
Yeah, not who.
That could make it more dramatic, knowing that, hey, there's some people we have casted your perfect type.
Ooh.
Damn.
And they're in there.
I'm going.
But we're not going to tell you who.
Damn.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah,
I would figure it
easy.
out off rip. I would figure it out.
Okay.
I'm confident. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have a few more questions for you, but it's time for texting office hours. And this is a great part of the interview. We're going to put the heat on someone else. Someone calls in with a relationship problem question, and the room, including you, going to see if we can help them out. You down for that?
Yeah, hell
All
yeah.
right. It's time for texting office hours. How's it going?
It's going good. My name's Claire, 29, and got this issue going on. I'm at the gym. This guy's staring at me. Seems like he wants to approach, wants to say something. Does he just have a staring problem, or is he interested? I just don't know.
Okay. How long has this gym love affair been going on?
It's been like a month. Like, it's been a while. And like, it stares, smiles, stares, and then doesn't do anything about it.
Are you staring back?
I've tried literally everything. Take my headphones off. I've tried to smile a little bit. We have mutual friends. So if they're in the area, like, I'll go say hello to them and give him a smile and keep walking and nothing.
You have mutual friends?
Yes, like acquaintances, we'll call them.
Okay. Do you know their names?
Yes.
Why don't you slide into his DMs?
So the other thing is he's liked a few of my stories getting very like,
girl, go get your
door
man.
is open.
Yeah.
Go get your man.
Door is so open.
Yeah. Do you have one of those, like, I don't make the first move, non-negotiables? Like, what, like...
I would prefer not to. I mean, I'm not scared of much, if anything, but I would prefer if he would just say hello.
Sure, we all prefer things, but I actually saw something on the internet, I think like this last week, that women who make the first move, if they enter that relationship, somehow increases that chances of that relationship ending up in marriage or something. Which Natalie slid in my DMs. I mean,
did you really?
Oh,
okay, girl.
Right.
So, I mean, it's funny. I said Natalie, myself and Natalie's mom went out to dinner the other day. We went, and there's this place in LA called the Wolfman's Lodge. What's it called? Sportsman's Lodge. It has a bunch of restaurants and shopping centers. There's also an Equinox there. I only bring this up because in LA we have nice weather. We have a gym down the street, but I also just like to go for a run and work out outside. And I literally thought to myself, granted, I'm older, I'm in a wonderful relationship. And I thought to myself, who the fuck would come to this place and pack a gym bag, fucking 20 minutes to find parking, go into the gym, change, all this fucking bullshit. And I'm thinking to myself, the only reason I would go to the gym is to meet people because it's like a social environment.
Yeah.
Now, granted, we've all heard the stories, especially from women, being like, hey, listen, I'm here to work out. Don't fucking talk to me. This is not where I want to get hit on. But at the same time, in 2024, it's harder and harder to meet people these days. We're becoming more and more like connected to our phones and we're less social. This is all to say, like, yeah, like you're at the gym, you're making it so obvious. Like, instead of wasting all this energy wishing he would come up to you, maybe he's just a nervous guy. And fairness to whoever this guy is, even if he is full of swag and comfortable with women, it's 2024, and a lot of men these days have been told point blank, do not fucking go up to a woman at the gym and hit on her.
Yeah.
So you are dealing with that. And if you guys have mutual friends and the guy is liking pictures on your Instagram, what more of a sign do you need?
You could like slide in with something that's not like that serious. You could respond and be like, hoping you say hey to me tomorrow.
Right.
Like,
he keeps staring.
You just slide in his DM and say, maybe tomorrow's the day.
Yeah. Maybe tomorrow's the day
That is
you say
actually
hey to
funny.
me.
I mean,
Yeah.
literally today, I was getting out of my car and he was walking by and he did a full-on turnaround, looks at me, and then I was walking in, he was walking out, and I'm like, that would have been
Y'all are
great
both
opportunity.
playing. Y'all are both playing games. Because if you notice that he did a full turnaround, that means you did a full turnaround.
And period.
And y'all are playing games. Y'all are.
You need to send the DM.
Yeah, you need to send
the DM.
I know it's nice to like have someone else do the work for you. And even though, it's 2024 and gender roles are constantly evolving and changing, I know of a lot of women who still like the traditional chivalry from a man. That being said, as we've all kind of discussed, like, just hit on the guy. And
give
I know
give
you
him the okay.
Yeah.
And
the
listen,
okay.
I get it. Like, maybe this is a sign. Maybe this is as we've discussed, a beige flag. Maybe he's just not the type of guy who's going to take the lead on things in a way that you would want a man to do that. And maybe you will find that out as you go on a date and get to know him. But he just as easily could be a respectful king who doesn't want to hit at you on the gym. He is going out of his way to liking your pics on Instagram. He's taking initiative. And so, like, I just don't think you have to have that hard of a line to be like, well, I'm just going to wait for him to hit on me. You know, like at this point, it's your responsibility to break the ice. And then going forward, if you go out on dates, if you get to know the guy, you can still find out if he has the type of energy or the type of masculinity or is willing to take the type of initiative that you need your partner to take, even though you're the one who makes the first move.
Yeah, and I've like also been told I have a semi-intimidating face when I'm at the gym because that's just what I'm there to do stuff. And it's like, okay, so then you're gonna say you're mad that he's not reaching out? Like, no.
It's true. Maybe I think you just need to give him the okay, the go ahead, and just slide in his DMs.
Let's do it right now. Let's
do it right now.
Let's do it right now. Let's do it together.
We'll do it all together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God.
No, absolutely. You called. You asked for our advice. We're here giving it to you. Our advice is to just fucking do it. You know, and you don't have to say I love you.
What if so I'm almost positive like we have mutual friends, but do I know that he's available? So if I slide in,
he shouldn't be liking your photos if he's not available.
Yeah.
And if he is, that's like fine. All right. He's not available. We're suggesting you slide into his DM and say something kind of cryptic and funny and playful. We're not suggesting you DM and say, I'm obsessed with you. I love you. You know, and if he happens to have a girlfriend, that's his problem. He shouldn't be,
Right.
And you don't need to be embarrassed or regretful. I wouldn't delete it or unsend it. You're okay.
He's giving you no signs.
You shot your shot. He's not no big, like, what are we so afraid of here?
Yeah, I don't know.
All right,
it's just, I think it is the gender role thing that you're just like breaking a gender role.
All right, well, let's bust out that phone.
It's on airplane mode.
You can take it off. It's fine. You can take it off. We have a good.
She's following rules. She's following rules.
I thought that was my out.
Yeah.
All right.
We're gonna risk it. We're gonna risk it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm saying what?
I think you should say, well, listen, we'll workshop it together, but I think it should be
like,
something.
How's your neck after breaking it, turning all the way around all the time?
Oh, wow.
You could do that.
Thought about that one.
That's
I think
fun.
a good one, it could be like, maybe this is, because you don't know what day he's working out. I don't know. Is he pretty consistent? Are you guys consistent with your workout days?
I mean, there's a day or two where it's pretty consistent that I see him.
Okay.
There.
Like what day of the week is that?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay. So
You could be like, fingers crossed Tuesday's the day you finally say hi to me.
I love
I
that.
can't say see you next Tuesday. That doesn't
no, you say exactly what you said. So like,
I love that.
Fingers crossed
fingers
Tuesday's
crossed.
the day that you finally say hi to me.
Okay.
Kind of love it.
I love that.
Kind
Yeah.
of love it. I would send that to me.
It's so
Because
strange.
it gives I see you, see me.
Yes.
I see you, see me. Now
And
say
you're
something.
setting expectations
Yes.
with him. You're letting him know that, like, all right, you're going to make me make the first move.
Yeah.
Fine. I'm going to fucking do
Right.
it. But I'm going to make you still say hi to me.
Right.
Because the alternative you could DM and be like, hey, I saw you at the gym. I was wondering if you want to go out with me. Like, you're still requiring him to do something, but you're giving him the green light that most men these days are looking for to hit on a woman at the gym. And you're saying it's okay.
Did you do it?
Yeah.
Did you send it?
Yeah.
You did. All right.
No, I'm so scared.
Why are you
Send and
scared?
fling your phone across the room.
It's also like you live in a small town, everybody knows everybody, but then it's like the other thing is the acquaintances or the friends that we have in common. I'm assuming he's asked about who I am and like what I'm like and everything like that. And there's nothing bad to say.
Why are we
But
embarrassed
it's
that we
like-
have an interest in a guy? There's nothing wrong with this. Like,
I know. I think it's the letting go, especially at 29, like you're like expected to meet someone out organically or meet them at a bar or whatever. And then it's like, okay, then how are most people meeting people? Apps or like, all that
Or
stuff
Love is
online. And
Blind.
it's like, how is this any different?
it's not. No. And like I
Fucking
said
myself.
before, like it is tougher these days and everyone wants to meet someone in person, but we've also introduced all these rules,
Yeah.
these social cues that we're telling men and women to follow. It does get confusing out there. Guys don't want to be called, annoying or creepy or, no guy wants to walk up to a woman who's busting it out at the gym and be like, hey, and be like, hey, leave me alone. I'm working out,
Right.
And
Right.
so I'm pretty sure that you're going to be on a date with this guy by the end of the week.
Yes.
All right.
And
And if you don't send us an email and tell us everything about
it was
it.
actually funny because while I was emailing, like trying to figure out what time, that's when he walked by me and was staring at me, and I was like,
Fate.
That is
Yeah.
fate.
Fate.
Damn. Okay, well,
And maybe
let you know how it ends
maybe the first date is like an after gym smoothie. I don't know, like a
Ooh,
little
yeah.
little protein shake.
little protein shake,
yeah, talk about your workout.
little stretch session.
A
little-
stretch session.
Yeah.
Stretch
Yeah.
Love.
Those
Yeah,
tight thighs,
perfect.
This
like
is the
help each
start
other.
of something
Lord.
good.
Yeah,
I
hopefully.
feel it.
We'll see. I'll invite you guys to the wedding.
All right,
Aw.
great.
Do you have your notifications on Instagram?
No, so I'll just be frantically checking them for the
Perfect.
next
No,
hour
put it
or two.
away. He'll be.
I'll go for a run and then come back and check.
There you go. You are such a
And
healthy
don't-
girl.
Do you guys follow each other?
check it
Yes.
out?
You do follow each other on Instagram? Jesus Christ! What you guys?
I got it in the bag. I just
Teasing
gotta
each
go.
other.
I know.
Truly.
This is all I needed. I needed you, Nick, to tell me to do it,
All
and
right.
the girls.
We got you.
All right. Well, good luck. I
Thanks.
feel good about this.
Thanks.
Please let us know how it
Yes.
goes.
I will. Thanks,
All right.
guys.
Take care.
Bye.
All right. Bye. All right. Matthew has run its course.
Yes.
Clay has run its course.
Yes.
Even though we like to
Flirty
flirt.
friends.
Flirty
Flirty
friends.
FFs.
Was there any guy from this season that either we got to see or didn't get to see that you had an attraction to, or anything else that you met? Any other relationships evolved? for you?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely
I
not.
have a question.
No. Yes.
Do you think the conversation you had with Ken
hmm
opened his eyes to maybe reevaluate his relationship? The conversation of
I don't think it made him reevaluate his relationship.
Okay.
I think Ken has had that conversation that we had is
Mhm.
not the first time he's had that conversation in his life.
Right. Okay.
That's just plain and simple. And like he said on the show, he has family that talk just like I talk and would ask the same exact questions.
Mhm.
So reevaluate his relationship is intense. I think it just shine a light on something that maybe a conversation he didn't have in the pods.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
thanks for asking that question because I forgot. But and to further talk about that dynamic, a lot of people, especially as we're recording this now, has had a
Strong
strong
opinion.
reaction.
Yes.
And I do, having been not necessarily in the Love Is Blind world, but I know what it's like to film these shows,
Yeah.
And the nuance that sometimes is lost.
hmm
I saw a very introverted man in
Yes.
Kenneth.
Yes.
I also saw, not having lived the Love Is Blind experience, I do know that these are intense situations that you have to decompress from at
hmm
various moments in the
Mhm.
experiment.
hmm
And listen, it's never good to be on your phone and shit like that. It's a bad look.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, you should be aware of that,
Yeah.
especially as an educator.
Right.
I'm sure he has to deal with that a
Right.
lot. with
Phones all
kids.
day, right?
Nevertheless, I didn't see a bad guy or a jerk. I saw an introverted man who needed to decompress
Yeah.
from time to time,
Yeah.
and maybe went about it in a way that didn't come off well on camera, but not necessarily the reaction. The internet's reaction to
Yeah,
that has
for
been
sure.
strong.
If you asked every woman in the lounge and the pods who was our favorite guy, just above all, the most stand up man, unanimously it would be Ken. Like we literally would
Yeah.
say, and can we trust? Because he is so solid, so genuine, so real. And what you said, I think, is very accurate. Like just needing to decompress. That was a very, very long day, also.
Yeah.
It was a very long day.
I mean, I could literally only imagine what it's like to be part of that experiment.
hmm
And again, it's one thing to fall in love on the pods and have those intense feelings. And then again, meeting someone, it doesn't even matter if you're like, oh my God, they're hot or I'm attracted to you. It's just like, this is more real.
Yeah.
It's very easy to be delusional in
Yeah,
the pods
yeah.
and just kind of go with it. You're literally told to just follow your emotions
hmm
and just feel.
Yeah.
And then you meet someone and it's like, oh shit, okay, here we go. And
Yep.
at some point, like, again, it's one thing to go on these social experiments and say, all right, I'm going to immerse myself in this experiment, but you're not crazy.
Right.
And you can choose to do a crazy thing without being crazy. And at some point, your consciousness catches up with
Yeah.
what the fuck
What's going on.
what you're doing.
Right.
And I think sometimes we see that unfold on camera, and I think the audience will perceive it as some sort of flaw, character flaw
Yes.
in these people that we're watching. You would agree?
I would 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Because you are in Delulu, like from the pods to the getaway, and then you get home, you get your phone back, you start talking to your family, and then your family's like, well, this is crazy. Like, are you okay? And now they're questioning, like, you're really about to get married? You're really about to, you really love this person?
They're literally like, are you okay?
Bringing you back to reality.
Yeah, like, hey, you don't have to do this.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's a lot of like worrying that
Yeah.
you're emotionally kidnapped from family.
No,
right?
for sure.
Yeah. Because you kind of are.
Yeah, you are.
And it's something that you choose to do.
Yeah.
Like in Bachelor world is very different,
Yep.
but similar in the fact that you are very much in an experiment,
Yep.
and you are cut off from your support system.
100%.
And even when you get some of your support system back, it's a fascinating thing. Anything else with AD before we let her go?
We're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yay.
AD, can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
This has been a ton of fun.
Yeah.
We love
Can you
you.
please let our audience know where they can follow you, support you, anything you want to plug?
Yeah, just y'all can follow me on Instagram at Amber Desiree or TikTok, and TikTok at It's Amber Desiree.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now you're just out there dating and super single and
Super single, super hot, super stacked.
Okay.
Super stacked.
Super stacked.
Well, if you're listening and you're interested, are your DMs open?
DMs are open.
DMs are open. Okay.
Love.
All right. We love that for you. All right. Well, guys, thanks for listening. We appreciate AD's time, and we appreciate yours as well. Don't forget to send in those questions at AskNick@theviallfiles.com for all things texting office hours. Ask Nick, you know the drill. I think that's it. We'll see you back on Monday.
Yay.
Bye. Hey guys, if you loved what you listened to, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.